All right, so we are going to go ahead and do a CMA. This is a neighborhood property, so it's going to be a little bit easier. This is our example property here, 31403 Kingston. Pulled it up through the appraisal district. That way we can find out the quote unquote correct information on the home. The subdivision it is in is Imperial Oaks Village, Section 3, and this is the lot and block, neighborhood Imperial Oaks. It's got the owner, percent ownership. I do like notating the homestead or what type of exemptions, especially when you go to list the property. This is where you're going to find what exemptions are on here. It's got the tax information. Here is going to be our square footage. Now take that with a grain of salt because appraisal districts are not always correct on their square footage. So it's got the main area 1991. This is the only square footage that we can include when we list a property because it is a climate controlled square footage. This is just going to be extra. This is a garage and a porch. Now, obviously, a garage is going to have some value to it because it does have, it is a garage. But if every home in the neighborhood has a garage, it doesn't really have any value. Now, if it has a 3-car garage, then it might be more value than a 2-car. So if you scroll down, you've got here, this talks about the land size. So 10,000 square foot lot, pretty good size, about a little less than 1/4 of an acre. You've got some, prices on what the appraisal district has it appraised as, which you can kind of take with a grain of salt because they're not usually correct either. And you can see the deed date of when the deed was recorded. So it looks like when she purchased it was in May 21st, 2010. So one thing I do like doing is pulling it up on Google Maps. It doesn't matter if you've got the satellite or if you've got this one, satellite, or just the basic, 2D map. But I do like seeing where the subdivision is at. So just to get an idea, appraisers are not typically going to come over on this. They're not going to cross a major road as long as there is enough homes to show that, it's got enough comparables, right? So if there's not enough comparables within the subdivision, they're going to shoot across maybe, this main road here, or they may shoot across over here. Now, I would assume just by looking this, and I'm not 100% sure about the subdivision, but I would assume that this subdivision is probably also part of this subdivision. Same with this area over here. It's just got bridges that connect them because of these bayous or drainage ditches. So right now, we're just going to kind of try to see if there's enough comparables within here. So the only thing that I do is I just go to single family because it is a single family home. We can clearly see by this property, it's in a neighborhood, so it should be somewhat easy to do. In here, I'm going to type in Imperial, if I can type, Imperial Oaks. We're going to do option pending, continue to show, pending, sold. Now, I've said this before, but I would take into consideration withdrawn and terminated and coming soon. The reason I put withdrawn and terminated is because when we're looking at the numbers on there, if there is some properties that have been withdrawn or terminated and their price was significantly higher, when you talk to the seller in order to list the property, you can say, hey, look, we've got 5 comparables here that are all pretty close to your property, but you're asking for a much higher value. Well, if we look here, these withdrawn and terminated properties were a higher value and they didn't sell. So the market rejected that higher price. So we realistically need to stay around these other comparables that did sell. It's much easier to explain that way if there is some. So I do always look. I try to just go back to 6 months. If you can go back 6 months, stay within the subdivision. If not, you go up to about 1.5 miles, maybe a little more, maybe bump it back 365 a year and see if there's something different. But I will pull up the map first and see what it shows. So like I was talking about, you can see there's multiple sections to this neighborhood. Okay, so there's a ton. And if we actually go to the results, you can see here, there's 195 results from active, pending, sold, withdrawn, terminated. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to just hone in this one area because that's going to be the closest sold properties, which is most likely what the appraiser is going to use since there's multiple properties that are in here that are red that have sold. They're probably not going to go on these other sections. Okay, so let's try to stay within the section. Ideally, they're all built around the same year, probably a lot of the same floor plans. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this polygon tool here and just start outlining the subdivision here. I'm going to scroll in so hopefully you can see it a little better, and just start, you know, coming across here to try to just get this one section. Okay, now that we've got this section honed in on, we're going to go to criteria and we're going to delete the subdivision information. The reason we do that is because sometimes this number will go up, especially in older subdivisions that might have possibly had a name change, or maybe the neighborhood got a new addition or something like that. It will bring all those in as well, instead of, you know, taking out anything else, because sometimes they're abbreviated too, depending on the agent that put it in. So we've got 36 matches here. Okay, now if I had to guess, there's going to be a multitude of different size properties, maybe different age. It looks like age, we're all pretty close. It's got multiple different bedrooms and bathrooms, and different price points, right? So they range from, there's 2 active properties on here, but we're gonna slim this down a little more because there's so many properties. There are 36 properties. We want to slim this down a little bit more. So if we go back to the appraisal district, we can see that the property is just shy of 2,000 square foot. So I'm going to go back into criteria, and I'm probably going to put in somewhere around maybe 1,800 to 2,100, see how many properties come up. So now there's 13 properties, right? Well, we can also go back to our maps here, and hopefully you've spoken with, you know, the seller pretty in detail to find out if they've done any additions, because maybe the last time Google Maps, you know, checked this property out, maybe they didn't have a pool, and maybe they've put in a pool, especially since the pandemic. Everybody, you know, bought pools, overpriced pools. So it does look like, you know, and this is kind of a weird rendition here, but it does look like they've got some sort of structure in the back. I can't quite tell what that is. I'm not sure if that's a pond or a trampoline or what. So you would want to find that out. But just for this, you know, example's sake, we're just going to say that it doesn't have a pool. So we're going to put no pool in there, took one of them off. So now we've got 12 results, and that's just within 6 months. So this one's going to be a little bit easier. The more rural, the more you go out in the country away from the city, it's going to be a little bit tougher, because there's going to be a ton of different age groups, ton of different types of builds, different lot sizes, things like that. So we can see here that it does have a couple of other sections in here from, I believe, our section 3 that we were within here, but that's okay, because the price, or the year built here is all relatively the same. And if we go back here and look at the property, and sorry, I keep clicking around so much, this one was built in 1997. So if we look at the properties here, we're pretty much smack dab in the middle, which is great, nice and easy. So if we look here in now you can say whatever you want to say. You can say, hey, in your entire neighborhood at this square footage, whatever, you know, you've got X amount of active properties, which there probably is a lot more active properties, but we've slimmed it down to square footage, and we've slimmed it down to the section. And in this case, they're all the same year build. So what I would tell the client is homes like yours, you know, properties like yours, there's only one other one that's active right now. So when we're talking to them about pricing, we can tell them, hey, you know, we're trying to look at this through the eyes of an appraiser. The reason being is because we don't want any appraisal issues. We don't want any hiccups through the transaction. Once we get under contract and have negotiated a price, and then, you know, negotiated and got through repairs or the option period, we don't want to have any more hiccups after that. We just want a smooth close. We want to throw it off on the lender, let them do the approval, you know, get the appraisal back in. It's nice and smooth. Everybody's happy, and we close on the property, right? We don't want there to be any appraisal issues that could potentially break the deal up. So, you know, we've got one, we can look at this. It's an active property. We don't know if it's going to sell for this. It's at 286. It's a 2009 square footage, which is pretty close to us, right? We were at 1991. So it's pretty darn close. But the one thing here that I can already tell you from just looking at the appraisal district is out of this section here that we've cut out of the map, there's only one other property that has as big of lot size as hers, or his. I'm not sure who the seller is, but if you look here, we're at 10,009 square foot. So she's already got something better than, out of the 12 we've got, she's got a better property as far as size, more than 11 of the other properties. So that's a big plus for her. She is on a corner lot. Not everybody likes corner lots, but the size is going to help her out big time. So lot size here, we can kind of start slimming it down to lot size. I would leave that off for right now. The square footage, you can tell because I did the 1800 to the 2100. They're all pretty close. This is the largest one right here at 2035. So we can look at the pending properties. Again, we don't know what these are going to sell for. Okay, we don't know what these are going to sell for. The active property is our competition, or is the seller's competition. So ideally, we want to be lower than that, or at least around that. But that doesn't mean it's going to sell for. There could be a chance the listing agent agreed to a higher price that may not sell for that. So the pending properties, we've got an 1,800 square foot with a good size lot. I'd say that's pretty comparable. Year build is a 96. I don't know unless we pull up through the MLS if it's the previous listing, which I can try to do that. But just going off of numbers here, we don't know what the bedrooms are or what the bathrooms are. Okay, so these pending properties, we've got one at 1918, 6,000 square foot lot that sold for 288, or is under contract for 288. Not even under contract, listed for 288. So we've got a big difference here, right? We've got what, $49,000 difference, or give or take. So we got to narrow it down a little more. So this property sold, it's only 2,000 square foot, but it has the big lot here, right? So 254. Now maybe there's something up with that. Maybe it's a short sale. Maybe it's a builder grade from 94. This is a little bit older property. As you can see here, it's the oldest property out of this list. So we're 3 years newer. I wouldn't say that we are that much difference in age where we couldn't use that as a comparable, but we need to individually go through these properties. Okay, so just keep in mind these red marks. These are price drops. But these sold properties we want to put in, right? We want to keep all these sold properties. So from 5 through 10, these 5 properties here, 6 properties here. These 6 properties here, we want to go through and start digesting and start breaking apart and seeing how they compare to our current home. Now, the one thing that I like to do is I like to kind of look at both sides. So I like to look at one side, no upgrades, probably not well maintained, just basically what it is since when they bought it, right? All they've done is wear and tear on it. The other side is I like to see what kind of upgrades they have. Now, when we're talking on the phone, prior to us even doing the listing presentation or meeting with them, we're asking questions. Hey, is there any upgrades you've done to the property? Now, remember, upgrades like roofs, ACs, technically even windows, depending on what they are not upgrades on the property. Those are most of the time considered maintenance items because they have wear and tear on them. Okay, now windows, that's something that could be borderline, because if they've got original single pane windows and you upgrade them to a dual pane, high energy efficient, stuff like that, that's an upgrade. But if they've just replaced a roof because their roof is however many years old from, where we're at now to here, what is that, 25 years, right? So if it's 25-year-old roof and the roof's shot and they're just replacing the roof, that's not an upgrade. That's a wear and tear. AC condenser, it messed up. Well, I can tell you right now that AC from nowadays, now the new, whatever it is, I don't even remember the refrigerant number, but the refrigerant number now is different from when it was in 97. So a lot of people aren't able to service their old AC units and they've got to go get a new AC unit. If they're just replacing it with the same tonnage of what the AC unit was, that's not an upgrade. It's not. It's a wear and tear. It's just like tires or brakes on a car, right? If you go replace your brakes and go trade in your used car, they're not going to give you more value for slapping a new set of brake pads on it. They're just not. So anyways, back to this. So when we're looking at it, we've got on the sold property, we know what these sold for. This is what an appraiser is going to look at and look at only. Now, on these pending, if we click one of these properties, and I'm just going to click it and scroll down to the bottom here, the estimated close date is November 2nd. We're on October 27th. We are pretty close. We're about a week out, right? We could call this agent here, Johanna, excuse me. We could call Johanna and say, hey, Johanna, got a property about to list. I know you're about to close in the next 5 days or so. Is there any way you could tell me what this thing is going to close at? Okay, we can try to do that. If we look at the next pending property, maybe it's a little bit closer to closing. This one's closer to closing. Yep, it's closing in 2 days. So I would contact Deborah and I'd say, hey, Deborah, looking to list a property in Imperial Oaks right down the street from you. Can you tell me what that's closing for? And if they'll tell you, there's a good chance because we haven't listed the property yet, we know it's going to close. You can use these as comparables because they're going to close by the time the appraiser gets out there. When an appraiser does the appraisal, it's not, hey, a property's closing in another week, you need to use that comparable. It doesn't work that way. It's at the time of appraisal. So they can only look at sold properties at the time of appraisal. But before we go do the listing presentation, we can try to call and figure this out because we know this is going to close. Hey, Deborah, do you think this is going to close? Yep. We're just waiting our 3-day grace period. It's closing. Okay, cool. We're good to go. What's it closing for? Obviously, check in the next couple of days and make sure it closed, but you can use that as a comparable. So, if we were to go through again, sold property 254, high side or low side, high side 355. That's over $100,000, barely, but over $100,000, $100,000 and one or $100,100 more. But that's a big difference, right? That's a big difference. But if we look at the majority here, you're going to be somewhere around this, 268 to 285 ish, somewhere in there, just kind of in the middle. Now we need to see what the middle means. If we come down to this 254 property and we start, to me, this looks like a nice home. Looks like it's been well maintained, maybe. So it's got some nice flooring. Countertops look like they've been done at some point. It's got some decent flooring, stainless steel appliances. There's some newer carpet, some paint. Looks like the vanities are still the same. Looks like no back neighbors. To me, this looks like a really nice property. But if we look down here, is there anything that says, nope, doesn't say anything about short sale or anything like that. So more than likely, these people just needed to sell their property quick because they underpriced the heck out of their property, in my opinion, just from looking at it. But if we go to the next one, that's only got a 7,600 square foot lot. Still pretty good sized lot. Maybe also no back neighbors. Looks like they've done some flooring. Some nice paint in there. Countertops, I can't quite tell if they're granite, but I would assume they're granite. Got a little backsplash here. Looks like maybe windows have been updated. It's got builder grade tile. It's a nice little epoxy. Doesn't really add much value, but looks good. Looks like kind of builder grade carpet, maybe just a hair. Again, can't tell if this is granite, but from looking at it, it looks like it would be granite. So, I mean, again, another nice property. Got the recessed ceilings. I'm sure that was, an upgrade for the builder, possibly. A deck with no back neighbors. So that's a decent one too. So let's go ahead and kind of bump this up here and just start looking at some of these higher priced ones. And I'm just going to fly through these to get an idea of what they are. Looks like a cul-de-sac. Got some gym mat area. That tile is hideous. So is that, but guess that would be an upgrade. So kitchen, I can already tell it's got a nice backsplash on it. Looks like some countertops. Some flooring's been done. What is up with these doors? Wow. That's some serious doors, huh?
Safe room.
Yeah, well, the other doors are like that too. I think that's just a style they like. Maybe the sink had been upgraded. Maybe the countertops again. Some flooring. This is nice. Different upgrade. Looks like the shower has also got some nice backsplash. So they've put a little bit into it. Okay, this covered area, definitely going to throw some value in there, right? I would say that's not builder. So overall, nice home. We're just trying to compare the property. Obviously, we haven't seen the client's property in person, so we don't know exactly where it compares. So if we pull this property up, the next one, it's got some flooring. Kitchen's been redone. Big time. Not sure if those are original cabinets or not, but been painted. I can't tell if that's coriander. Looks like it's coriander, but they've done an island in it as well. Got some nice touches on the fireplace, different vanity. Flooring looks like hardwood floor. Looks like they've just painted. This all looks like builder grade to me. And that's definitely builder grade. Add another covered area. Some nice landscaping. So if we look at the single line here, that one was the 2035. So I would say that maybe upgrades, you know, there's a couple of bathrooms that weren't even touched, but the square footage is a lot higher than this one. So, you know, pretty close. This one's got a bigger lot. So as we bump it up some more, we can look and, you know, again, we're just trying to compare where it's at. So you want to study these properties and know, you know, this flooring is that ceramic tile. It looks like wood floor or ceramic, the wood planks that are ceramic. So this obviously has been all redone. I mean, this property is pretty clean. Looks like maybe original cabinets. I'm not sure. Can't tell if that's wallpaper or tiles. Probably tile, I would imagine. Yeah, it's all been redone. This, they've done the same thing. So this one's got some pretty good upgrades on it. Very nice covered, it's finished out covered area, stamped concrete on the back. Nice property. So if we go to the 355 one, we need to see what this one is, because this is a huge jump here. Well, this to me does not look like a 355 property. Looks like all they've done is flooring in here. There's some granite countertops. Somebody must have really wanted this house. Huh. I'm wondering if this was a cash purchase or what was going on with that. House is priced accordingly. Wow. They priced this thing at $249 and it's sold at $355. I would if I were the agent on this one, this would throw a red flag to me big time. I would contact Laura Rupel and say, hey, I'm trying to price a home here. You sold one for $355. Is that correct, or is that supposed to be $255? Because if I had to guess, that's a typo.
Yeah, that definitely seems like a typo.
There's no way someone, I mean, don't get me wrong. Home is priced accordingly condition or to condition. If seller contributions are wanted to carpet or visible repairs, this must be included in the contract up front. Thank you for showing. Granite on all countertops, huge master bath shower, which, you know, we're not really saying that anymore. Fixtures and more. This is, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not dogging on Laura here, but I think this is a typo, and that does happen. You know, if she's closing it out, she might have done it real quick. You know, these these keyboards sometimes are kind of hard to, you know, mess with them, but yeah, I would say that's wrong. So I would contact and find her out, or find out if that's true. I would probably lean on that it's not right. So I would say that this 285 is probably the highest. So on the low side, if her property is somewhat builder grade, maybe cleanish, I'd probably be putting it around this 255 to 260 mark. If it's got some upgrades, I would probably put it a little closer to this. You know, again, square footage wise, we're up there, and she's got a big lot. So I'd probably lean on a higher price because of the lot. On the lot square footage, I'd probably lean on the higher price on the low end, probably 259-ish, 260. And then on the high side, you know, depending on what the upgrades are comparable to here, it's got some kind of minor upgrades. Maybe we're doing a 270, 275. If it's got, you know, a couple of things that are done to it, then I'd probably put it close as 285. So you just have to kind of be the judge of that and see. But if you look here, a lot of times potential sellers or sellers will say, yeah, but look at these price per square foot, $184, right? So if we did the math on that, this first off, again, this is the property that wouldn't be there. So we're just going to use the 152, right? So 152, they're like, well, 152, why can't I get 152 for price per square foot? I've got some upgrades. Mine's really nice, right? Well, you gotta explain to them that price on the price per square foot, the smaller the property, the cheaper it's going to be. Now it's not that much difference. You're talking what, 100 and something, right? What was it, 1991 or something like that? What was it? Sorry, 1991. So yeah, I mean, you're talking a little bit, but the lower homes are going to be brought up by the bigger homes. The bigger homes are going to be brought down by the smaller homes as far as price on the price of the sold, right? But that adjusts for price per square foot. So I always say, we just need to, we can look at these, but depending on property size and depending on the price of what they sold and condition of them and upgrades, that will fluctuate, right? So we definitely don't want to be higher than this, ideally, unless they've just completely redone everything, because none of these properties in here that I saw have been 100% completely redone. The highest one had most bathrooms, I think, had the kitchen, had some flooring. So I would say that. But when you're the highest price per square foot, you stand out like a sore thumb when the appraiser's looking at it. Okay, so just remember that, because if it's got a super high price per square foot, if you're at 180 like these people, I guarantee you this lady, like on these pending properties, the listing agent for this 355 has probably already been contacted by an appraiser. An appraiser probably said, is this a typo or is this right? Because I guarantee you it's not right. So because they're going to use that as a comparable. So that's kind of what I would do. The one thing too I would say is that the days on market here, this one that's active has been on the market for 40 days, right? It's priced at 286. Well, I can tell you this is our cutoff. So if she's priced at 286, her property better have more upgrades than this one, which maybe it does. If we look here, this one was originally at 290, okay, which is up there quite a bit. Look, there's siding missing on the bottom down here. Builder grade. There's no way this property's someone's not going to come in here and go, wow, this is worth more than what these other ones are, right? So they probably, again, probably a listing agent probably just agreed to whatever. This floor is hurting my eyes. Probably agreed, looks like original windows, probably agreed to whatever price the seller said. Seller price said, nah, my home's worth 290 all day. I know it is. I have these cool lights up here. It's worth 290, right? It's not. The market is rejecting this. It's rejecting this price. That's why they've done a price decrease. And I guarantee you the seller still feels very strong about it, because they only decreased it $4,000. That's why it's been on the market since, again, we're in October 27th, and it's been on the market since September 10th. That's why it's been on the market for 40 days. This proved my point down here. These two properties, 294. Okay. This guy or gal said, our property is amazing. It's so amazing. It should be priced higher than any other home possible. This is that home, right? We saw it. This is the one earlier with the metal doors, the vault doors that that we were joking about, right? So this one was listed on June 10th, right here, and then it terminated July 21st, probably because they went, oh, well, 294 is not working, right? So this is 1310 Wellsford Drive. So if we go to 1310 Wellsford Drive, it's right here. Sold for 268. Same home. It terminated. Who was it with? It was with KW on this one. Then they said, no, we're going with, I think that's Abbey Realty. I'm not sure who that office is. We could click on it, look. But that's what I'm saying. If you misprice the home because that person is like adamant about the price, hey, we got these cool doors. We got this cool flooring. We got, this awesome backsplash, right? They went with this team here, which I actually know Wayne Phillips. He's a great guy. But they went with them and priced it. And maybe he just said, hey, look, yeah, you got a really nice home. Let's try it, see what happens. But if we don't have any attraction in the next couple of weeks, we need to lower the price. And maybe the seller said, no, I'm not lowering the price. It's worth that. And then after about a month and a half, he said, yeah, that to hell with you. We're going to go ahead and cancel our deal. And I'm not certain that's what happened. But then they went with somebody else. Then they went with Dakota Federally, with the Federally Real Estate Group, or with Abbey Realty. And they listed it for 285, right? List it for 285, which again, the seller's probably still holding on to this 294-ish. So they dropped it $9,000. Well, look what happened. I believe no price decrease. Look at the offer they got. So they basically dropped it. What is that? Almost 30 grand. If they would have come in and reviewed, now don't get me wrong, the house is very nice. It's got some upgrades and stuff. But if they would have possibly come in, maybe this is the middle of the road, right? If they would have come in at this 265, 275, somewhere around there, maybe they get multiple offers because it's priced according and it's a beautiful home and they drive the price up. And somebody says, hey, this market's insane. Let me go ahead and give you a full appraisal waiver with an extra 10K on it. And maybe they get the 285, but because they priced it so high, it terminated, then went back on the market. It was on the market 12 days. And then it went back on the market again 4, but really it's on the market longer than that because it's got the asterisk next to it. So if you look here, it was, let's see here. Yeah, so they started on June 21st or June 2nd, coming soon. They listed on the 10th. Option pending, something happened, fell through. Option pending, withdrawn. Something happened again, right? Terminate. I don't know what happened, but they terminated. Went with someone else, then they were on market for another 4 days. So they were on the market for 16 days, which is not terribly long, but they killed themselves on price. If they would have had a lower market value for that home that was closer to what they should have been priced at, again, I'd have to go through these again and see, 2000. What did I do here? This one's 18,808. This one's a little bit closer in square footage. It's probably got some more upgrades, less. If they would have started around this, they could have gotten multiple offers. Multiple offers, all multiple offers means is 2 offers, right? So if you got 2 decent offers and you tell each other, hey, we got multiple offers, present your highest and best, maybe one of those would have come up. Instead of 268, they could have come up 275. They would have made 7 grand. They'd be a lot closer to what they originally listed it for. So that's the dangers. This, you can see right here, this one's terminated and this one too. Did this one end up selling? Yep. This one ended up selling too. No, I'm sorry, it's under contract. Now, I don't know what the reason was for this one. Maybe we'll have to see when it closes, but it was listed for 20 days. So I don't know what they were doing here. They listed it at 298. 298. Oh crap, not worth it. Withdrew. Back on the market, $9,000 cheaper.
They went back with the same guy too.
And that happens probably because they said, hey, maybe we're not ready. We're still doing some updates, or maybe the price, we should have went a little lower, whatever the case is. Then it's back on the market of 289. Then they only had it for 1 day and then terminated. Then they brought it back to the same guy at 288.9, so the same price. So they were on the market for 20 days, basically off and on the market for 20 days, and then came back and got it under contract. Now, I don't know that this is what it sold for. I'd be interested to see what this sold for, right? Maybe it sells for 275 or maybe 270. We can't really use that as the example I'm talking about, but you can see that with terminated, this price here, if they're like, man, my house is 295 all day. I got a couple upgrades. I got some things done to it. It's nice, beautiful. Take care of it. Get the AC worked on every year. Do all my maintenance stuff. Well, that's great, but the market's rejecting that. And again, let's imagine this is not correct, because I'm pretty sure it's not. But this would be the highest part, the highest value at $162 a square foot. This is the highest priced home. It did not sell for that. As of right now on sold comparables, the highest we've got is 285. So if you decide, if this property is the example property down Kingston, this 31403 is just knock down, drag out. I'm talking everything's redone. Sure, we need to go above 285 because it's more square footage on the home and it's more square footage on the lot. And there's only one other property here. But this one at 286, and you can explain this too to the seller, right? It's been on the market 40 days. Usually within the first 2 weeks, that's your hottest point, maybe 3 weeks. your hottest points of being on the market. For sure, the first week is hot. We want as many people in there. By week 2, okay, we're still waiting. If we don't have anything within 2 weeks, we need to lower the price because we put it way too high on there. You got no attraction, you got no offers. You don't want to be this person 40 days on the market. Now, if some agents or some sellers will say, you know what, I'm not really in a rush to sell it. Well, that's fine. But you need to also have a discussion with them if they're not going to be realistic about their expectations, because you got to be on the same page, right? If you're not on the same page, then all that marketing you're about to spend, all those, kick-ass photos you're going to buy, drone footage, Matterport, it's like you're basically, each one of those is a bullet to the heart, right? I mean, you're gonna be paying for that. You're going to be like this other guy on that other one. And I hate to talk about him like that because he was a good guy, but and I don't know what happened, right? But you're going to be like this guy, right? You're going to be maybe you get somebody under contract, maybe it's low, maybe it's high, I don't know. I'm not sure. We don't know. All I know is it didn't work out at that price. Whatever the reason was for these option pending, and you could call and ask, but it got terminated. Well, why did he terminate it? So I had to guess it probably was due to price because he wasn't getting the price that the seller wanted. Again, I don't know that. Shouldn't have any assumptions, but I know that it ended up selling for 268.5. I do know that. So anyways, I would just explain to them that we don't want to price it too high. So David, on this one, again, if just looking at numbers and square footage, not even worrying about this stuff, right? Which you could break down. The good thing for you is besides these 2 properties, this home's going to sell quick. This is your average days on market. You got 3. I think that one was like, really, it was like 16 days, 4, 15, or this one might have been 16. One of the 4 asterisk ones were on there. This one, I don't think it was that long, but they're all quick. And if you take these 2 out, you're basically at a week, maybe 7 days, I would say on average, or maybe a little more, 10 days, but you're going to sell that quick. So, I would say that because the lot size is a little bit larger, if it's got some upgrades, comparable to these and these prices, whatever you're at, if it's got some upgrades, you could probably juice the price a little bit. And I say that just because of the lot size, because it's a 10,000 square foot lot. These are all 7, 8, 6, 8, 6. How much? That's totally up to you, right? You could break it down. But I would say probably somewhere between 5, maybe 10. But you got to justify it to the appraiser, and there's not enough comparables at that square footage to justify it. If it's lower price, you're starting around this 255, no upgrades. Maybe you might be able to push it. Again, we got to go back through and see what upgrades there are. Maybe to 255, 260, maybe 265, somewhere in between that 10,000 difference. And if you're on the high side, fully redone, you're probably sitting, if it's been fully redone, you're probably sitting at, I don't know, maybe a 292 or something like that, and then on the mediocre side, you're probably at about a, 280-ish. So 280 to 290, maybe 295, and same thing goes on the low side, 255 to 265. So that's what I would probably do on that one. Now, the cool thing is let's say that we are looking at these higher ones. We'll just click this 275, 268. We're going to put those 3 in. We can throw in their competition. We can throw in a couple of these. See, we got one at 288 here, and I don't know if I click this. Is this the one? Oh yeah, that's the one we looked at. Dang it, wrong one. But yeah, so let's just throw in maybe, this is a redone one. This one's not redone. This one's not redone. Don't know anything about those. Haven't gone into them. Haven't sold yet. I would suggest going in and breaking those down as well. But for just this example's sake, we've got 3 comparables here. You could throw in these cheaper ones if you want, but if it's got upgrades, I would probably leave these. We've got a pending one, an active one in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give a nice, more statistic sheet. So we're going to go into print. We're going to go into print. So in my recap email, we're going to, first off, we're going to go back and we're going to do just email, right? And I'm going to do preview. I'm not even going to send this to him. I'm going to take this link here and I'm going to send this link nice and broken, or nice, clean. Here are the comparables here. Here will be a hyperlink. it's going to have these. These are much easier for someone to look at on the computer like this and see the location than what I'm about to do. Okay. So this is what I like to give them. That's nice and easy. But what I'm going to do for the actual more engineer minded, more statistics side, not to mention it's going to make us look like pros, is we're going to go ahead and do the print email. We're going to go down to agent full. We're going to do printable map, quick CMA. I'm holding control, command, whatever it is on your computer. We're going to do print to PDF. This is going to put it into an actual CMA type form. Need the Jeopardy music going on here. All right, so this is going to show what it looks like. So when this is the MLS, this is us, right? These are the sheets that a lot of agents print out, leave at their showings, etc. This is when you're going to show buyers, you print those out and show them. That way it's got, the size, it's got the information, it's got, what the tax rate is, utilities, what, etc. HOA. So it's got all the properties. And when you scroll down, it's going to show the map, right? So the map is here. So our property is Kingston Village, this one right here. Okay, so number 3 is real close, right? So this is the one that sold at 268 when it was listed pretty high. But all these properties are pretty close. This should be enough for you for a CMA with a appraiser. This should be enough comparables. But if you scroll down here, it's got your single family active property. That's the one active property. It's got your pending property, one pending property that you put in there. It's got the 3 sold properties. Okay. So when you look at the sold properties, it's going to show you on here the medians, the minimums, the maximums, and the average. So if we broke it down to the actual sold price on average, you're looking at about a 276. Okay. Now this statistic is pretty awesome. Okay. On average, these homes are selling for 101%, give or take. Okay. Median 101%, almost 102%. So you should, if you price it correctly, sell it super fast, because we sell the days on market. Here's the days on market. If you average those 4 out, divide them by 4, give you the average days on market. And then again, we're seeing 100%. So if you price it correctly, you're going to sell it fast, and you're going to sell it for more than what you're listed for. Unless you're this guy, which is what we saw because they priced it too high. So that list price, sales price to list price, we list it here. We're actually selling it for 101%. So we're going to sell it for more money, going to make you look like a rock star. Okay. So you might be able to juice the price a little bit. Just giving you that. And then here's your adjusted sales price to square footage, sales price, square footage, list price, square footage, adjusted sold price, etc. So you can look at the, again, average, median here. We're looking sold price around 276, 274 between those. And then the average list price here, 278. So they're getting a little bit lower on that because of that other property that's bringing them down. Same thing on the median. I'm sorry, sold price and then median, they're being adjusted because of this property in particular, 94%. If you take that one out, they'd all be higher. But this is what I give them. I attach this as well, and I give them that. And that's pretty much how I do a CMA. So it's usually a price range, and then you and the seller decide on what you want to do. Sometimes it's a little bit more clear cut than that. You can say, hey, there's 5 of them that are the exact same square footage, exact same size, exact same year, everything. It's 274.9 or 275, so sometimes it's a little bit easier, but again, it's dependent upon the condition of the property. So we got a 10,000 price range on either side. You just got to figure out where the house fits at. That's why I always start the listing presentation off by asking if I can take a tour of the home. So walk through the home, you can kind of get an idea. You've already studied these homes in and out. When you go to the listing presentation, you can say, look, this is just like yours. You've got some, flooring, you've got countertops, you've got, backsplash, some nice paint, maybe some shiplap. It would kind of go within here. This is pretty close. Okay, so you can show the highs and the lows. But that's pretty much it, how I do it. Do you guys have any questions at all on that?